Well, after a busy weekend of discussion, senators negotiating a border security agreement could, and I emphasize could because we've been talking about this for a few weeks, could release the long-awaited text of the proposed legislation that would address the supplemental spending for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and have border protection issues in it. Now, one key to any agreement remains finding consensus on the changes to the current parole and asylum policies, which currently allows thousands of migrants to come into the country and stay for years. So what should a border security agreement look like, and would such an agreement be possible? Joining me now to discuss this, Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. She serves on 4 Senate committees, including the Senate Finance Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you as always.
And it's always so good to be with you. Thank you, Tony.
So let's start with the border. This week we may see text of a bill resulting from the negotiations there in the Senate. What are you anticipating?
I think it's important before we talk about the bill to talk about this process. And back in May, the House sent H.R. 2, their border bill, over to the Senate. And the Senate Judiciary Committee has held 80 hearings and meetings since that time. We have never once had any kind of focus on H.R. 2. And we should be taking this through the committee process, but instead, what Schumer is trying to do is to go against regular order in the Senate, pull together a working group, then have them present language, and then a couple of days later, take that language, that text of a bill to the floor and call a vote. And what we are saying is, no, that's not going to happen. I've been very clear. I will not vote for anything that makes illegal immigration legal. And this administration is working overtime trying to find ways to make illegal immigration legal. They've done it with an app. They've done it with special privileges. And now it appears from what we're hearing that they are trying to put in text the ability to give work permits, to give special conditions for people that are entering the country illegally. And you know, Tony, there's one thing to keep in mind. My mother would always say, 2 wrongs never make a right. And we need to remember that as we look at this issue of illegal immigration.
Senator, thanks for pointing that out, because the House sent over HB 2, as you said, 7 months ago, right, and it's been languishing in the Senate. Why? Because we've seen this before with the what I call the scare leader there in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, refusing to allow the process to run its course, allowing hearings, and allowing these measures to move their way through the committee. Instead, he short-circuits it and sends his legislation to the floor.
That's right. And that is not the way this process should work. The House passed a bill and sent it to us. It is sitting in Judiciary Committee waiting for us to take it up. We have never called the bill up. That's because Dick Durbin, a Democrat from Illinois who chairs the Judiciary Committee, does not want to call it up. So let's focus. We should be on H.R. 2. We should have been on H.R. 2 months ago and having a fulsome discussion about how we secure the southern border. Of course, those of us who are conservatives say, let's start with enforcing existing law.
Right.
Let's also listen to the Border Patrol, who has told us for 30 years now that they need a physical barrier, they need better technology where they cannot have a barrier, and they need more officers and agents. And of course, do we need to reform asylum laws and parole? Absolutely we do. But we also need those other security components, and here's the reason why. This open border policy of Biden has turned every town into a border town, every state into a border state. And you can talk to any sheriff or police chief in this country, and they will tell you they cannot address crime, gangs, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking until the border is secure, because the border impacts everything that they are doing on the ground every single day.
In addition to that, the threats that are coming across the border, as you pointed out, every state has become a border state. But it's even worse than that. Resources that should be going to Americans, such as veterans, is being diverted to provide health care for those who are coming into this country illegally.
That's correct. And as we were doing some work on Veterans Affairs, I'm on the Veterans Affairs Committee, what came to light was that the VA has been spending money for the last couple of years on referrals to community health care for veterans, and then also to claims processing for what should be for veterans. All of this is going to illegal immigrants. So instead of a veteran getting a referral to community care, that time, that effort, that money goes to that referral for somebody who has broken our law, illegally entered the country. And illegal immigrants are having their claims addressed. But Tony, the backlog of claims for our veterans for benefits and health care, the backlog is 1 million claims. So
Incredible.
You've got 1 million veterans that cannot get services from the VA, but they are putting money into illegal immigrants.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yes. We're up against a break, but very quickly, could not the Republicans in the Senate, I know you're not in the majority, but could you just say, look, we want this to go through the process as it should? Could the Republicans not sit together?
We have said that repeatedly, and I have talked about that quite a bit.
Okay.
That H.R. 2 has been there and hasn't been addressed. At VA, they want to talk about everything except money being diverted to allow access to health care for illegal immigrants.
All right, Senator, always great to see you. Thanks so much for
too.
staying on top of the issues we care about on Capitol Hill.